Right, so I'm doing a video update on the Bearhawk build. 2 months into it. Yeah, pretty solid 2 months really. I had a few days where I did nothing here and there, but overall very happy with the progress. So I just wanted to recap where we're at. So the aircraft at the moment, I've stripped it right down. Having built the fuselage up, I've now taken a lot of the parts off it for various reasons. So just take a look at the progress. I've assembled the wheels themselves down here. You have to extract the bearings out of them and remove the preservative grease and put normal wheel bearing grease in. So we did that, put the tubes in, assembled the wheels themselves, and I've got tyres on them now. They're inflated. As soon as I did that, I fitted the brake calipers and immediately discovered that they didn't fit. And what was required is a spacer ring. Because the tyres are quite wide, what happens is the tyre rubs on the Grove brake calipers. So I've ordered that part. That's on its way out with some longer bolts to fit, and that should take care of the problem. Up here on the wall hanging up, I've got the landing gear. Now that's pretty straightforward. I've painted the actual foot pegs on it. I've installed the hard brake lines. They're just 3003 aluminium, and the AN fittings up the top here, just bulkhead fittings. They'll then join onto flexible brake line into the fuselage. So that's all made up. I've got the flexible brake lines now, and just looking down here under the door, that's where they'll attach here to this hard brake line. I've got other flexible brake lines all now attached with AN fittings onto the brake cylinders, so they're all ready to go. Just recently I've been working on the fuel system in the fuselage. I'll just try and give you a look at that there. So here's the fuel selector. So basically what we've got, if we just stand back here a little bit, you've got the forward fuel lines from the front of the tank, and the aft fuel lines run under the door and come down here. They join up at this bulkhead junction and then go into the left and right side of the fuel selector here. At this stage I don't have the gascolator. That's on its way and we're still waiting for it. Once I get it, the gascolator will sit just in behind the fuel selector. And now I have made what I think I've made a decision at the moment to remove the fuel filter from the system. The reason for that, after discussion with a few other people, is that the gascolator will have a filter in it. So I didn't see any point of running two filters. I reserve the right to change my mind on that later. But if I go ahead with that, what's going to happen is the fuel will come out the back of the selector, through the gascolator, it'll be filtered, and then directly into the fuel pump down here. From there, through the other side of the fuel pump, straight into the fuel flow transducer, the gold cube, and then through the firewall. That's the system as it stands this evening. Now, that is subject to change. There's a little bit of debate in my mind about whether to locate the fuel flow transducer down here or whether to move it over a little bit, and that's because the manufacturer recommends suspending it on flexible lines. I'm unsure about that. I'm getting a bit of input and advice from other people. That's that. Now, what I've done up here with the Skylight, I've made a very slight modification. So once I install the Skylight, I'll do a video on that. But the general aim is to put one sheet of Lexan right over the top. It will have to be bent, but that's all riveted in place, ready to go. The only part that hasn't been riveted is this back part of the frame here is still loose, and I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to fix that. So let's have a look back here. I installed the static ports in the last couple of days, so they're in, and down to a T-junction here, and then the lines run along this stringer, and I've secured them all there with cushion clamps. They follow the fuel line up and then come up the inside of the boot cowl here. So what else have I got? I've taken off the rudder and the elevators. They're pretty much ready for covering with fabric, and because of that I've moved the garage around a lot to give myself room to start covering here. Got trim tabs on the walls, just on the wall just hanging up over there, and other bits and pieces floating around as well, all ready to be covered. The next major step, besides covering the empennage, is going to be welding up the doors. Doors are going to be one piece steel frame. I'm going to use the top half of the Bearhawk kitset doors, and I've got some square extrusion steel, 4130 steel on its way, and I'm going to TIG weld those. Over the back here I've got all the boot cowling that I've fitted. It's got all the nut plates on it, and after fitting it, bent to shape and everything, I've then removed it and put it out of the way. Did quite a lot of work on the cargo doors, and actually the seat's sitting in the way, but I'll come around here because it's quite interesting. And what I did is I riveted the rear cargo door skin into place, but I was very, very interested in bonding. So what happened with the front one is I bonded it on, and that's worked out, looks to be very, very good. Got the latch there, I've put a small aerodynamic cover in front of it. There's the inside of the door. It's bonded with Scotch Weld DP190. It's still curing, probably for another 1 or 2 days. I've put a little grab bar in there to just make it easy to open and close that. And that latch is closed very, very well. It's very, very solid. You can see it there. And if I just climb around here, I can... There's the back cargo door as well. As I mentioned, the back one is riveted. I did that first. It did work out pretty well. I'm reluctant to do it again just for the sake of bonding it because it has come up very good. So at this stage, I'm just going to leave it be. So after 2 months into the build, that's pretty much where we're at the moment. And proceeding in the next week with covering the empennage and the gear legs. And after that, I'll decide where to go next.